Hi, this is Dawn with Sugar Free with Dawn. I thought that a 6 month being sugar free warrants a little bit more explanation to the people that have been following me. So I wanted to break this down. I'm also going to make a short form in case people don't feel like watching this to its duration. But overall, I just felt that this was an important piece to share because even people that are close to me don't realize exactly the journey that I've been on. So ultimately, yes, I did not do this 6 months sugar free or a year sugar free for weight loss. But, I have to say that that is absolutely a piece of why I wanted to do this. Largely, a lot of my adult life, ever since I've had children, I've been overweight. And I have tried over and over repeatedly to do different things. I would sign up for a coach at the gym. I would, get into that for a little bit. I've done Fit for Life and Atkins. Like, I won't even begin to name all the programs that I've tried. Well, it was COVID during 2020, and I joined a platform called Mind Valley. Mind Valley is like a conscious coaching platform. They have all kind of spiritual and, different meditation things and just absolutely a whole bunch of different coaches of just becoming a better person and having a different way of life. One of the programs that I did back in 2020 when COVID first hit was I joined a program called Lifebook. Lifebook is a personal assessment where you basically take 12 different categories of your life and you pretty much make an objective of what you want every one of those categories to look like. And one of the things back in 2020 that had ultimately throughout most of my adult life, one of the things that was a core out of key for me was to be getting in better health and to lose weight and to be more comfortable with myself. And I just wanted to make a change. I wanted to show up different in my life. So what I did was I did that life book, went through the whole program, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I felt like I had kind of like a blueprint of how I wanted to move forward. Well, fast forward to the next year, and it was during COVID still, and I was at home and working from home, but I had access to, my kitchen, and I could do whatever I needed to at home. And I came across a program, and it was called Wild Fit. And I haven't shared this with a lot of people because I don't know. I've largely been a private person most of my life, but I decided that today I'm sharing this with anyone who wants to hear this message. Anyway, Wild Fit was like a 13-week program. The guy's name was Eric Edmeades. I remember it vividly because I was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely want to do another program. But I had bought so many different programs and courses and books and meal plans and this person online. And this program was going to be $599. And I had to go to my husband and say, I know that I'm not really making much money right now, but I absolutely have to try this one more thing. And he's like, looked at me like, Dawn, like, really, are you sure you want to do one more thing? And I was like, yes, I have to do this. I've got to do this for myself. So it was March 2021, and I spent $599. And basically, we could do it on the fly, like starting that next week, we could start this program. And the way that Mind Valley courses work is basically something is like open so you can look at it, and then the following week, something else opens up. So we were set that we could only start the first week, and we did it. Basically, the first couple weeks was looking at how are you eating? And it was kind of like you eat whatever you want. Like if you had a craving, you went for that craving. And the idea was over the first 2 weeks of the program, you were trying to get an idea of there's different hungers. Are you eating because you're truly hungry or are you just maybe thirsty? Like really, that is actually a thing. Sometimes we think we get a hunger trigger, but we're really thirsty. Well, this program gave us totally new insight into like why we're eating, the different hungers. And the guy who runs the course, his name is Eric Edmeades. And you can actually Google WildFit and find Eric still has a program on there. I don't know how much the program costs. The one again that I bought it directly through Mindvalley, it was a 13-week course at that time. But basically every week you'd unlock something more. So the first 2 weeks, it was like eat everything that you possibly wanted and figure out where your cravings were coming from. But even more than that, it was like, how do you feel after you've eaten it? So you eat that big piece of cheesecake and, when you're done with it, oh my gosh, how do you feel immediately after you finish it? And how are you feeling like an hour or two or whatever? So it was kind of really delving in to the psychology of eating. And it gave me a lot of big insights, honestly, into why I was overeating. And a lot of my eating over my adult life has been emotional eating. I would more go to a cupboard for a snack than go to the refrigerator to find something more beneficial. I was about the crackers and the chips and the sweets. So that's what I would do. So you can imagine my first 2 weeks on WildFit, I went crazy. I made all the things that, I loved. I was baking, I was cooking, I was really indulging and enjoying different things. And then the real weeks and the real work started kicking in. And ultimately, every week was something else opened up in the course. So first week, you had to remove like sugar. The second week, you had to remove bread. The third week, so it was kind of like an unfolding. And by about week 6 or 7, he had us remove everything that was sweet, including ultimately even carrots and beets, like sweet fruits and like sweet vegetables. At that point, we were not eating any fruit at all. Fruit was like the first 2 weeks after we were eating fruit. After we'd eaten all the indulging, and then we went to switch into a fruit mode. But after the fruit mode and all that, so week by week, it kind of like gave you, okay, this week you have to give up this week you give up this. So by about week 6 or 7, you were ultimately not even eating sweet vegetables. Okay, you couldn't have a carrot, you couldn't have corn, none of that stuff. And you did that for about 6 weeks. And he called it his spring, okay? And spring was hard as hell. But the whole concept of this WildFit thing is that our pancreas was not designed to be digesting sweet things all the time. So his idea was to give your body a break, give your pancreas a break from digesting sweet things. And so on this program for about 13 weeks, I did lose 20 something pounds. And that was really encouraging to me. But not only was it the weight loss, but it was also, I was feeling like I was starting to look at food differently. And so this was 2021 when I did this WildFit program. And over the course of the next couple of years, I got back into eating whatever. I did keep a little bit of the weight off. Probably about, I think I lost about 20 something pounds on that one. And I kept about 15 pounds off on that program. I did, once it was over, I went back to eating my, normal standard SAD diet. Not entirely to the same degree, but I did go back. So then fast forward to 2023. It was July the 4th of 2023. My dad was ill, and he was ill enough that I was not going to visit him for his July 4th birthday. And I decided in my dad's honor to make a carrot cake, but not your traditional carrot cake. I remember this so vividly. It was like cashews and dates and nuts, and it was like a freezer version of a carrot cake. Yeah, it had shredded carrots in it and everything, but they were raw. So it was like a raw, gluten-free nut cheesecake thing that actually took me a number of hours to make. And I ended up making like this like little like 6-inch like little round thing. So pop that in the freezer, and I'm thinking that I'm going to enjoy this on July the 4th of 2023 in honor of my dad's birthday, because I had always made him like the New York Times like carrot cake, which is like 2 cups of sugar and a couple cups of oil, and it was just like it was an amazing, delicious, beyond words carrot cake. But I was trying to do something, different. By this time, I had a new concept kind of about eating. I was trying not to overindulge in everything, but made this carrot cake. And on July the 4th, I remember very clearly, my husband and I, we were alone, and we had an office with a window looking outside, and we just got a piece of that cake, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to try this raw this raw carrot cake. It just seems like this is just an amazing dessert that I made. And I took 2 bites and I was like, wow, this is truly the worst thing that I've ever eaten for health food. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I spent so much time and effort and money on this, like making this stupid little carrot cake, and it was terrible. And right then, something in me, I don't know if it was like, it probably was something to do with like honoring my dad because it was his July 4th birthday. He was still with us, but he was not well. And there was something about that moment that I looked over at my husband and I said, I am going off sugar. I am not going to put myself through this anymore. Like, I need to make a change. We had done Wild Fit. I knew what I was doing to my body by still eating, sugar, even though it was maybe honey or maple syrup or whatever, alternative stevia or whatever. Of course, the occasional sugar. But at this time, I knew what I was doing. So I decided then, July the 4th, 2023, starting the next day, that's it. I'm throwing this piece of carrot cake away and I am done. So July 5th came and I did go sugar-free. I went sugar-free, but not to the degree that I did this time. So I'm not going to say I've never been sugar-free because I had been sugar-free, but in short little spurts. So my goal, July the 5th of 2023, which is so fitting because today is July the 5th, I came to the conclusion that day that I was going to give up sugar for 6 months. But the only thing is, I did still let myself eat a little bit of honey, and I let myself have a little bit of stevia. So there were some alternative sweeteners that I were allowing myself to have. And I was still eating like oatmeal and some gluten-free pasta. And we would have these sugar-free little bagels occasionally, not regularly, but occasionally we were eating sugar-free bagels. But you know what? I was sugar-free for 6 months, and I did it through 2023. I ended up being sugar-free the whole year. I mean, the rest of the year. So 6 months of sugar-free, but eating still pasta stuff, still eating gluten-free, a little bit of honey, a little bit of stevia, and I believe occasionally some maple syrup. So fast forward to January, well, actually, it was October of 2025 when I had the inclination or the conclusion or the very strong determination that January 1 of 2026, I was going to go sugar-free for the year. Now, you heard my journey. I had tried Wild Fit. I had had a pretty good success on Wild Fit. And again, when I went on the sugar-free thing in 2023, again, I saw added weight loss. But then after I'm done with the program, then again, the weight starts to creep back up because I don't withhold to like the plans that I had to continue being sugar free. In fact, I go through little spurts where I literally just go like a mad woman and be like, I need a muffin, I need a cookie, you know. So that's kind of where I was at in the November, December period of 2025 when I decided to start this. So at that point, I had already lost like 26 pounds from where I had been on my first two quests, not only between the Wild Fit and the additional 6 months of sugar free. I was down 25 pounds when I started this plan January 1 of this year, 2026. So fast forward, I was just ready. I was feeling terrible. I wasn't vibrant. I wasn't excited for my life. I was just absolutely kind of getting by. It kind of hit almost a little bit of rock bottom the end of I should say, December 2025, because had been eating anything that I wanted. So January 1, 2026, I start this. And I have to say that it was absolutely been the best decision that I've made. Not only have I been remarkably sugar-free, sweetener-free, stevia-free, honey-free, maple syrup-free, any alternative sugar I have not eaten. It has absolutely helped me that I have eaten primarily from home. I've probably eaten out a dozen times, but in very controlled situations where I'm telling the people that are, preparing my food that I'm sugar-free and I have to be very careful with what I'm eating. So I've eaten out maybe a dozen times, maybe less this year. I haven't been counting. Certainly not the multiple times a month that I was. And no fast food. Like, this is a zero fast food kind of year. A few restaurants, but again, you have to be so mindful because, even reading labels that you're eating at home and you're making your own food, even reading labels of things to prepare at home, there's things out there that say that they are sugar-free. And if you actually read the ingredients label, not the part that says how much sugar and it says added sugar 0, but you read what's the contents of that product. Alone this week, I found 2 items that I wanted to buy at grocery shopping. One was hot dogs to go with our hamburgers, and it was hot dogs and it said 0 sugar. And then you read the ingredients and like the third ingredient was sugar. Here's the thing. If ingredients have less than 2% of sugar, they can say 0 sugar. I don't know why they're not required to say less than a gram, but they can literally say 0 grams of added sugar. The other thing that I found, I wanted to buy pickles. Yes, I was able to end up finding pickles in the end, but the pickles that were right next to the ones that I bought said 0 sugar. And again, one of the ingredients was sugar. So even eating at home, you have to be so careful. And that's why I've opted that if I'm going to be out for the day, I literally just pack a little cooler and bring my own food. So I have to say I have lost another 24 pounds. So when people knew me at my largest weight a few years ago in 2020 or 2021, I should say, I would be 50 pounds more than I am now. I still do have quite a bit of weight to lose. This has not been a journey I didn't get here overnight. This part of my sugar-free, I've lost 24 pounds. I'm super excited. Ultimately, that is not the end goal. The end goal is to feel more amazing about being alive, to feel excited to get outside. Like, I don't know. The last so many years of my life, I wasn't about going outside. I wasn't about doing things out there. And I have to add that back in May, I had started going outside for 30 minutes a day. But that was just going outside. I could sit on the patio furniture. I could just like, go in the park and sit down if I wanted to. I wasn't requiring myself to get exercise, but it was just pretty much to get air. And what I decided was July the 1st, I am going to have 30 minutes of movement a day. I'm making that commitment to myself for the month of July. You'll probably see a posting about that in a week or two. But July, I'm going to be having 30 minutes of movement in addition to 30 minutes of outside time. We're making pretty much all of our food. This really helped to have things made ahead, to have leftovers, and to really be mindful about reading labels. I do plan on continuing. I haven't had any coffee, no bread, no flour products of any kind, no sweeteners, no alternative sweeteners, no stevia, no honey, no maple syrup, no anything that would sound like an alternative sweetener. Just been eating. The only sweetener thing that I have allowed myself to do occasionally is dates in the form of whole dates. If I make like an energy bite or something, I will allow that. But pretty much staying away from anything that's sweet. Occasionally, very rarely, I am eating just a little bit of dried fruit. But unfortunately, what happens with dried fruit is it converts to sugar so fast and it kind of makes you want to eat more. So I'm trying to be more mindful of that. I am allowing myself to eat some fruit. I mean, it's the summer and it's an amazing time to get fresh fruit, especially near where I live. You can go pick some fruit too, and that's really fun. So I am doing that. But I have to say that this last 6 months, I am just so over the moon, excited to be where I'm sitting today. I didn't know where this journey was going to lead me. I didn't know how successful I was going to be. But one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from this so far is it's so much easier to be 100% committed to eating sugar-free than you're going to cut back. Because here's the thing, when you are faced with that pizza or somebody you go out to ice cream with, well, here's the thing, when you walk into an ice cream parlor, there's nothing in there for me that I can eat. So I'm gladly having a glass of water and watching my husband or whatever eating the ice cream. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And when we order a pizza on a Friday night, I'm okay to not eat the pizza because here's the thing, I don't eat bread. So I'm not in a constant conflict with myself over, you know what, I'll just eat it today and then tomorrow I won't have any. There's no battle with me, internal battle with me at all about food anymore. I don't eat that. And I'm accepting that I didn't ask anyone else to be on this journey with me. So you know what? I'm okay and at peace for other people to have their pizza or their spaghetti or their bread and fresh sourdough bread with butter. Because right now, this year, that's not for me. I don't know what 2027 is going to look like, and I'm giving myself the grace to not need to know. So I thought I just wanted to say thank you for the people that have, been following me. It's been an amazing journey. I'm so grateful to share. My whole goal was only if I could find one other person that I could make a positive benefit to, that's all I wanted. That's why I came on YouTube in the first place. I don't need to create a movement. I don't need to have 1,000 followers or even 100 followers. I just wanted to make a little bit of a difference and to be able to be honest and real and show the actual journey that I've been on. Because you know what? There have been tough days. And even the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, a piece of cheesecake or a cookie sounds kind of good. And I'm like, what? Like, where did that even come from? And it just goes to show that so many of these cravings that we have are coming from our mind. And so I want to leave you with Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. It's been amazing. I do anticipate the next 6 months, I'm going to continue to be a success. That I'm just going into it with that. This is what I'm doing for the year of 2026, no sugar. And that's where I'm at. So I want to remind you to please go easy on yourself. We didn't get here overnight. And you know what? You might not be even struggling with weight loss, but you might just know that the diet choices that you're making are not really adding to your ultimate health. And in the end, I want to have a vibrant, lively, just amazing, exuberant life. And I think that that's mostly what most people are looking for. So if you're one of them, I just want to remind you to please go easy on yourself because you deserve kindness.